This is episode 212 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. The Bad Batch keeps the member berries going, Manzano.
No spoilers here, but I remember. You remember? Remember.
Will old school can still hang Hagewood?
Yeah, this fresh stool's got where it's at.
And Ryan Cloud City Madness Staniszewski.
I don't know what happened in Bespin. It was some crazy stuff. There are things I didn't expect show up, and they were at the top, and some were at the bottom, and this was madness.
This is madness. Yeah, we are going to hit that in a minute. If you guys didn't catch it, something new we're going to be doing. People have been asking for such a long time, Dion, can you make us brackets for the tournaments? And I've always been like, guys, ain't nobody got time for that. I made it not completely automated, but more automated. Something that we might be able to actually do consistently. So we'll go ahead, shift over to it. What we're going to be doing today during the show is we're going to be taking a look at this bracket, and we're going to be breaking down not just the list, but the matchup in which the player lost. That way you can understand what the list was and a possible weakness, or was it a close game or anything like that. So it gives us a couple of possibilities there. But first, we got to talk about the XTC. So the United States team did something pretty cool this week. You guys went 6-1, Marcel.
Finding the mute button. Found the mute button. Yeah, we went 6-1 against the super strong team Sweden. And we had two matchups that were relatively safe in terms of the result. Mm-hmm. And then we had 5 matchups which basically went down to the last dice roll. We lost one and won the other 4. And was that? No, won the other 3. 4. Yeah, 4. Math is hard sometimes. Yeah, no, it was just an exciting week. But the pressure is on. This week we are playing Hungary. And Hungary won their match 5-2. So they also did a little stompage of their own. So we've got so we're playing another, team that did well this week. And the thing that I'm going to say that I was hoping would happen and did happen is, I don't know how for those of us who love to consume X-Wing, just like on the stream side of it or on the just watching it, it was a week of just excitement. It felt like the Olympics. It felt like the World Cup, for those of us who like football, soccer. I remember at one point, like around 2-3 in the afternoon, I turned on Twitch and YouTube. And between Twitch and YouTube, there was like 7 different matches happening at the exact same time being streamed on the Spanish, on the Chile. By the way, the people in Chile, Underdogs just got their community going about a year and a half ago, beat Australia. So we got some crazy results. But yeah, like that. Like if you watch the Chile stream on the final match in Australia when they were 3-3, and just like the excitement, and it really was like you hear because the announcers are from the commentators and the streamers from Chile, and the players are from Chile, and it's at the very last dice result. And I'm not going to spoil it. That's one to watch. It was Resistance Against the Republic, I think. But yeah, it's one of those situations where the last dice roll also decided it, and you can just hear, you can imagine yourself in a bar on a Super Bowl when your team winning, everybody going crazy, like, I can't believe it. It was like he was saying it in Spanish, but he was saying, "Lo mató, lo mató." Like he was just saying he killed him, like in shock for like 30 seconds straight, just saying like he killed him. So and because it was such a unexpected for Chile to beat Australia, which was considered one of the favorites in the group.
Well, Australia was talking a lot of trash going into it, so you know, sometimes karma comes back and smacks you in the butt.
It came back and smacked me in my butt. I was the only one who lost from the team. But, you know, I'm going to keep talking smack and say I don't have to be the best player. I don't even have to be a good player. I just have to get 6 other players who are the best to represent and ride their coattails. So that's my story. But anyway, the biggest thing for me, again, was just seeing the level of excitement in the community. There was a lot of hype built up around it. And I think it turned out, and some of the smaller channels, you know, like, you know, I was just checking out some of the smaller channels, which usually average 10, 15 viewers per match or per stream. They were getting upwards to 130, 140, 150 people watching those. So it's given a lot of publicity as well to different channels from different countries that I'd never heard of. Like my subscribe or my follow list on YouTube and Twitch went from like 4 streams that I kind of knew were X-Wing related and watched. Now it's like 12. And most of them are in different countries. I can't understand what they're saying. Like, there's a French one. I don't know what they're saying. There's one from Germany. The Germany is fun walk, but there's other ones going around, and I'm like, I don't know what they're saying, but it's X-Wing.
So now we're going to jump into the XTC matchups. Now, Will, before you start going through them, Will and Marcel, what we want to do here is we're going to be listening to you, Ryan and myself, and we're going to try to, you know, decide on who we think is the favorite going into this matchup. Obviously, we're not super familiar with all the members of Team Hungary, though I do remember that they were at the XTC in person when we were there in Poland in 2019. And I remember they gave me some cool cards. Thank you, Team Hungary. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about those matchups. Let's go ahead and start with the first one.
First one we have here, that is Daniel, and he's got the Separatists with Zam and Vultures going up against the Resistance. Marcel, what is he facing off against?
He is facing off against 4 T-70s and Rose with a coordinator. 4 T-70s that are the Initiative 1 T-70s.
Yep. Blue. Yep, the 4 blues.
Okay.
What do you guys think face value on that, Ryan and Dion?
Now, he's got how many Vultures again?
5
He
Vultures
has
and Zam.
5 Vultures.
Also I won.
Anything on those vultures?
Nope. Nothing.
It's a lot of weight for Zam to carry, I think. Those, I assume those rookies have BB Astromech, so either they get in a good position where they can block the vultures and then they don't have any calculates and they get like super destroyed, or the BB-8 Astromechs even become more helpful in getting those positions moving afterward. Plus the coordinate from Rose. Not saying it's... I would personally favor the Resistance just because that's a lot of 3 dice guns. They can be 4 dice at range 1. It's a lot of weight for Zam to carry. And if it's just base drones by themselves, it is 5 though. It's a 6 ship list with Zam, so maybe.
Yep. I'm in the same boat right there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say, you know what? It worked last time. We favored the other player, and Daniel was able to win it out. So we're kind of hoping for some of that again. All right. What's our next matchup?
Wrong.
Well, we'll say what we actually based on the pairings, what we thought. We had that as a good matchup.
You had that as a good matchup.
Oh yeah, we had that. This is a matchup that we went for.
Yeah, the blocking the blues should be an easy time for Zam's end game.
You know who has the bid between the two?
No, neither. It's a dice roll. But the thing is that drones like to pop. So it's nice when they actually get to shoot back after they pop. That's one of the positives. They usually pop without shooting.
Yeah, they do at least get to shoot. I don't know if they have as much offensive output to fight that battle of attrition. I could see Zam wanting to get in a little bit earlier, but you also kind of want Zam to not be caught early too. So it's a little bit of a bait, kind of have the X's bite on the vultures and then see what Zam can do to clean up.
So here's a question: how many? All right, so because they're Initiative 1, they're all Initiative 1. The X-wings and the vultures. How many can the 5 vultures take down 1 X-wing? How likely is that? You
I would say
have network calculations. Are you using network calculations full offense? Are we moving more defensive?
you also got to remember one thing, that you have Zam coming in at initiative 5, taking a token off of somebody. So
Right.
the one that wants to get killed will be tokenless, and will take probably a Zam shot at the same time. Probably.
So,
Hopefully.
just an example on the X-wing dice calculator made by our Andrew Lauritsen many months ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
Inputting a T-70's durability defense dice wise, so 2 defense dice, 4 hull, 3 shields, not including if it has focus or anything. If the attacker's set is 2 dice, I'm going to say with a focus, it's probably overselling it a little bit, but network calculator can get close enough. It's going to take about 8.5 of those shots. Now, granted, some of them could be at range 3, some of them could be at range 1. So 5 vultures taken down to T-70 in 1 round without any missiles or anything might be kind of rough.
Well,
You know what though? With that information, that might just be a clue in to Daniel to be like, hey, we need to be a little bit more defensive with the use of network calculations, because it's not likely that we take down in T-70 this turn. But if maybe we're reserving more health than the X-wings, maybe we win the war of attrition that way.
Yeah, he might take the route of I can be defensive if the reason I spend tokens is to make them spend tokens defensively.
Interesting. I mean, I'm leaning more towards calling it a toss-up rather than an advantage, personally. What do you think,
that's
Brian?
fine. I'm saying that's how we paired, but it's up to you guys, because you guys are the third party looking in.
Ryan, toss-up? I feel like you're still leaning towards the resistance.
Toss up with some concern for the Team USA. I'm both familiar with vultures and T-70s, very much so.
All right, we're right there. Toss up.
Toss minus for me.
Toss there. We'll put that in here. Negative toss. All righty, let's go over to the next one.
All right, this next one's Doug Howe. He's got his supernatural Kylo and Major Von Reg against the Rebels, and that's Wedge X-Wing, Dash Rendar in the 2400, and Jake in the A-Wing.
Okay, so we got this is Dash, Jake, and what?
Wedge X-Wing. Obviously, Doug's got a big old bid with his 2-ship aces, but there is still that Wedge flying around, really punishing the 3 agility aces. Not to mention the 4 and 5 dice guns, I assume.
So, does Doug's Kylo Ren have a torpedo?
Yep, proton torpedo.
Okay. Does Von Reg have regen?
No,
He has afterburners and Lone Wolf.
Okay, Lone Wolf, good. No mag pulse or any missiles on Von Reg?
Nah, he's afterburning and just being where he wants to be at initiative 6.
Okay.
being alive.
Well,
that's his goal.
Yes.
Yep.
That is his goal.
If anything, Von Reg might be able to just say, normally, Wedge, you get to flank, but I get to do whatever I want alone at I6, so I'll just move around you, Wedge. It's fine. Kylo can go, either help get you off the board, and so with the big bid and Kylo having supernatural reflex, I mean, that those 4 dice from Dash are going to hurt. I assume he has trick shot, Dash?
So they put this, you guys put out Doug, and they paired this Dash list to it, correct?
They put out the Rebel, and we gave them Doug plus 1 more, and they took Doug.
They took Doug. Yep. Okay. So I think the question in this matchup is how well can Dash cover Wedge, right? Because I think Kylo and Von Reg on their own, they can take out Wedge. The question is going to be what's going to be that range management between Dash and Wedge, because if it's not good, I think Doug eats him up. Doug eats him up. If they're like letting Doug censor blind spot and get uncontested shots at Wedge, that's the ball game.
Yeah, I believe in Doug. Doug's really good.
In Doug we trust.
Nothing against the other player. I'm not sure who they are. I just trust Doug a lot, being a person who can fly 2-ship lists very effectively. And Supernatural Reflexes Kylo is one of the best pieces of any 2-ship list ever.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and I'm good with calling Doug a favorite there. I'm good with calling Doug a favorite. Next.
All right, next up is myself flying Scum, Fenrau, Bosk, and Kanan Jarrus, facing off against Kylo, Hollow, 2 foe fighters.
So it's a 4-ship first order?
Just 2 foes, Rivas and an Upsilon.
Yeah, Reva's a generic.
Any
Kylo
munitions
and
on Kylo?
We got
Extreme maneuvers.
shooters. I think Hollow had an ion missile. Am I wrong about that? That was. I thought he had some upgrades. I'll have to double check.
I will say just
yeah.
about anyone Hollow feels like it needs to pass a strain to, your boss can punish really hard.
Yep, exactly.
But that might
Yeah.
mean he just says, okay, I have to send depletes over because Bosk has such a wide arc, which is limiting the offense they can do to you.
Yeah, so that's the difference. When you have like Tabson with Hollow, you could be throwing strains to him, or even an SF. But when you have Epsilons, you just throw whichever one, probably the generic. Just throw them the deplete. They have the automated target priority, so they're grabbing up calculates every time they shoot while depleted.
Yeah, but you know what though, Will, with Kanan out there, you're like, oh, you depleted. You actually got 0 dice on your attack.
Yeah,
with Kanan's ability.
That's
Assuming you've banked a reinforce and you're considering like the second action reinforce because of Gamma Key and Protector Gleb Kanan,
sure.
then you may not even there's almost no reason to double up on that. Like you could just, use Kanan against someone else to make their offense even more anemic against Bosk.
No, yeah, Kanan normally saves his force for himself. Like, I try not to use it too much if they're shooting at a reinforced Bosk. I get him.
Fight, then.
Well, yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, generally first round engagement, you want Bosk up front, Kanan not shootable, and then Fenrau threatening or dove in at the right time, right?
Right, trying to find the opportunity.
Trying to find a Kylo in this one. That's what you're doing.
I think because you have Kanan and he legitimately only has 2 offensive threats in the list, I think you have a good advantage.
I'm in that same boat.
We talked a lot without saying Fenrau. I said I6 hunting these people down.
Yep.
Yeah, they're both like 5.
Kylo's got to be a little bit nervous about it.
All right,
I'd be nervous at Hollow a lot if Fenrau and Bosk both decided to shoot at Hollow, no matter what Hollow has in that round. She can't focus evade unless she gets a 5K. I don't know when she's 5K, and if you let her get past her and you shoot her first anyway.
Yep. Right. All right. Well, let's keep moving here. We got this is 3 A-wings and Jan, flown by Matthew Carey in the Rebel Alliance, going up against Imperial triple aces. Marcel, I believe you said it was Vader, Soontir, and Major Vinder in the Star Wing, the Hatchet Man.
With a bid.
Does the Empire list have a bigger bid than Matt Carey's list?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Matthew Carey doesn't have that big of a bid. Maybe 2 or 3.
Matt's A-wings were Hera, Ahsoka, and Wedge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So only one of them is moving before Vinder, which is Wedge. So Ahsoka and Hera can maybe still make Vinder pay, but if the Empire player does well with Vinder's slamming to make sure that Vinder's a hard bait, right? You have to dive hard to try and get him because he can still slam and be in a less desirable spot to try and chase after anyway. And then Vader and Soontir can just feast from the flank.
Mm-hmm. Man. No, you're good. You're good. I'll get you back in there. So it was Vinder with Vader, right? Did I hear that correctly?
Soontir.
What munitions does Vinder have?
Probably Proton. Yeah. Man,
Both protons.
I think Matt's gonna struggle a little bit. I know, Matt, you're in the chat. I love you, buddy. But I'm worried about the fact that you got both Soontir and Vader moving after after Hera being able to hunt there, and then Vinder also being able to hunt at the Initiative 4. It seems like it's in the Empire's favor. Now, I have faith that Matt can play to the strengths of his list and be able to do something there, but I think on paper the Empire probably has the advantage there. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Winnable, but uphill for sure.
Hold on one second, Marcel. We don't have your audio yet. 1 second. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, I think for these, I'd rather Will and I not comment on who we think wins. Just let you two comment since we're on theme. So, and the first one, you guys both had resistance up, and we kind of talked you out of it. So if you want to throw that back to the to the rebel or whatever it was,
we'll keep it on. Agree or not agree.
Alrighty, let's keep on rolling. We got now our next matchup, Carson Ray versus some Separatists.
Yep, Carson Ray has Poe and 3 A-wings. Lulo.
No, he does not.
It's not 3 A-wings. No, it's a salad. That's right. He's got Poe, Jess, Lulu, and Rose, if I'm correct there.
Yep.
What is he facing off against in the
So
Separatists?
he's playing against Zam, Grievous, and then a bombardment drone with trajectory simulator.
Huh.
Trajectory similar in a bombardment drone. So basically, bombardment drone, trajectory simulator, some punch bombs.
Which bombs?
Thermals and seismics, I want to say.
Oh.
He gone.
Well, thermals and seismics make sense. Seismics are pretty dangerous when you trajectory sim. I assume as landing struts as well, to just be on a rock and toss bombs at things.
Yeah, be on a rock, throw a bomb.
Any idea what the bid situation is?
Because
Lulo's life could be a whole lot easier if he gets to move after Zam.
Yeah, for sure.
If Lulo has to move before Zam, might have a problem. It might be relegated to trying to do something to Grievous.
I mean, if he's got bombardment drone with trajectory with bombs, he's probably getting pretty close to 200, I would think there. Because you're paying for that extra
is
tech.
197, and Carson is 196.
There you go. That's huge. That goes to Carson, I think, right there. That gives me what I was looking.
Automatic, but yeah, definitely Jess and Rose together being on the jousting front can threaten Zam pretty well. While Poe and Lulo bring pressure, potentially threatening Grievous or Zam, right? So never count Zam out, but I think that bid helps make Lulo a better play in that matchup for sure.
I agree. All right, then we get Marcel. Marcel's got a Republic on Republic matchup. What's going on here?
I'll say this one. This was a complete throw Marcel under the bus. So you can just give this is a hard counter. So I'm flying Anakin, regen Anakin, regen Rick, and regen Obi with sense. To get blocks in. He is flying auto crit Anakin ETA. Obi. CLT Obi with sense, and then he's flying Rick with regen. And Anakin with sense also has the change your speed maneuver one. So he is not being blocked by Anakin, because if I reposition first to try to get the block after sense, then he can take his Anakin and be like, okay, if you're going here, I'm going there. And then can't block OB because he says, okay, if you're here, now I'm going to change my dial and be over there.
Yeah.
And then he's getting automatic crit. So it's not unwinnable. It's just
Do you have
really rough.
Do they have the bid against you?
Oh, yeah, they got like a 193 or 192.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Marcel.
Yep.
That's real rough.
We're gonna go on the other side for sure.
Granted,
there.
It sounds like you have a lot more regen than they do, so you might.
They only got one regen on Rick. So
Yeah, and Rick's definitely the trap. So like you can key in on OBCLT probably first.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Maybe?
it's probably easier to catch Anakin because Obi can change his dial and prevent being blocked. Anakin can only do that during the system phase.
Oh, Obi has R2A6, not Anakin.
Yeah, Anakin has the auto crit.
Oh
auto
yeah, the
blast.
crit drone. Yeah, you might be able to pin down Anakin a lot easier. Granted, it's gonna potentially be tough trying to push that damage through, right? So
Yeah. So it's an uphill battle. I have to get the ideal block on Anakin with shots coming at him. But there's other tricks that I have. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about them, but it's an uphill. Right. There's other ways around getting.
Marcel's been planning. He's planning. He's seeing what I can get. Well, one of the other things in this matchup is you use sense, and then Anakin, because abilities in the system phase go from lowest to highest. If you sense him, he goes, I'm gonna intuitive controls boost or barrel roll and try to get in a spot where his maneuver is unblockable or less blockable, especially if you reposition first at initiative 5. So there's gonna be some fun system phase feinting shenanigans going on there. I think that makes me happy. I know Brian's also a big fan of the system phase. I like stuff like that in the system phase.
It'll be a nice like throw a bluff. Be like, okay, I see you're going there, so I'm gonna go there, and when I'm really going over there.
Yep.
Well, I do like system phase things, but this kind of system phase stuff is still a little bit on my sus meter. Sense with the force, with aces that already move after, with auto crit damage, it feel weird. Like, I'm glad more things are in the system phase, but there's still an OB with sense, R2, A6, and CLT with fine-tuned controls in that list at the same time. So I'm good.
Alrighty, and then we have our Scum and Villainy versus, is that Kenneth Lyon?
Oh, that's our Imperial is normally flying by Steve Catulo. Or Catulo. Catillo. Is he subbing in this week? Maybe. You don't know.
Marcel. Oh, does no one actually know for sure? You don't have to announce it.
Wait, what? Oh, who's playing the last one?
Who's playing Empire?
Yeah, is it Steve? Or is it Kenneth?
Depends on when they're able to schedule.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it depends on the opponent's schedule. One of them can play one time.
Kenneth says, "I'm playing this week." All right.
Okay, so it seems locked in.
Kenneth's in. All right.
All right. Kenneth did. He got my number this weekend. I was able to get a game in with him round 1. Obviously, I always get matched up against your friends round 1 of any tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I got royally stomped by him. So I am glad that he's on our side subbing in.
Now, what is the scum list he's playing against?
He's playing against Fenrau. He's playing against Han Solo with Protector Gleb, Fenrau, and Ultrak. And
our Imperial list is the 4 strikers
the Goran, Goran strikers.
Goran.
Huh. Fenrau, Han Solo. Gleb is on Han?
I6 coordinate.
And what was the other thing?
For 2 points.
2 points.
It's true.
So Han with Gleb cost the same as a naked Rebel Fen Rao.
2 points.
Yeah, but that Hans coordinates sometimes red though.
Oh, but Fen Rao is always red because his ability is always stressed, so he's always stressed.
Sure.
And what's the
Coordinate him
third
after he
piece in there?
moves.
Han, Fen, and what?
Old T-Rock.
Old T.
Old T.
So you get some I6 coordinates to Old T-Rock as well,
Okay.
which they're probably going to need because those strikers have a mix of proxies and thermals.
Says Kenneth Lyon saying Fen has Fen has Debris Gambit and Turok has Fearless. Got it.
Giving Fen access to evade, apparently.
Yeah, he could
mean,
be
if he can
essentially
coordinate
focus evade. Ah, okay. I like that. I like that a lot. Like the idea here in the list, because essentially it's a Fen Turok list with a Han Solo support is what it is, right? But also it can also deal its own damage. It's got Gamut Key, Tidal, Trick Shot. If it has Gamut Key, that means you can end up carrying that evade from turn to turn.
You can hold Fen Rao's focus evade before combat. Look out.
Man,
Wait, who has? Han has Gamut Key too?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right, Fen, do what you want. Get all the tokens.
Get all the tokens.
Jeez.
Well, range 1. I mean, gotta still be range 1 of Han. Those turns.
It's a big base. Seems kind of easy to be range 1 of it.
Sure, right?
Fen probably feels pretty invincible no matter where he ends up, as long as he's not facing down like 5 T-70s at range 2.
Well, Ryan, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Where do you think the advantage is here?
Man, it's kind of a toss potentially too, because it's definitely on, because all the strikers have disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
They have bombs, which Fangs do not want to see. They could burn down Han if they chose to, but I'm pretty sure the Fangs are going in first, with Han supporting early, helping shoot later. It's definitely on the Scum player to make sure the Fangs are in the right position to not trade an entire one of those named Fangs for just one striker, because I don't think it's not likely they're killing 2 strikers in the first engagement. They might get 1.5 if they're lucky, but I think it generally will take both Fen and Old T to shoot one and kill it.
And don't sleep on the barrel roll from the discipline.
Strikers, yeah.
Yes, that is very important for sure. Like, they arc dodged. Not anymore. If you're one of my guys, we're going to just barrel roll and get you anyway.
Yeah.
There's that threat. Yeah.
One of the weird situations where you'd barrel roll into range 2 out of range 1 to shoot a ship.
Yeah, oh yeah, against the Fang
Fangs.
fighters. You're right. Huh.
So I actually think it's probably on the Scum player to do and set up and protect the Fangs better against the threat of, you'd think the Fangs be totally fine, but I'm assuming those strikers are going to fly moderately close together, try to get that focused evade double stack, but if it compromises the ability for it to spread arcs to make sure it doesn't lose an entire Fang completely that they've tried to go after, maybe they won't get all the stacks of tokens, but if one Fang dies in the first engagement, that's not a trade they were looking for. And Fangs aren't, depending on how they position, not great for long-term engagements. In that they can't maintain because they have limited blues, right? And a lot of times they're using their linked actions to get into that range 1, which means when they're trying to leave, they're going to have to deal with a mess ton of thermal detonators. And they don't have leaving speed with those 1 and 2 drop thermals the way they might need to without decommitting really hard. Which means as soon as both those Fangs decommit, those strikers can pounce on Han pretty easily too.
All right. You know, for me, I feel like I'm putting this at a toss-up. What do you think, Ryan? Would you agree with that, or you think it's like it leans towards USA?
I think it's actually still a toss-up because it's both players have things they can do to both win the game, and either player makes one mistake and they probably lose.
All right.
So.
Well, looking at our little mini chart here, after calling matchups, I mean that puts Team Hungary and US dead tied here. We got 3 matchups favored for Hungary, 3 for the US, and Kenneth Lyon potentially having that toss-up. Now, we'll find out when these games are. Hopefully, we can get a couple of them on GSP this week. I know since Hungary is a really different time zone from us, might be a little bit tough, but it would be great if we can get them on Wednesday or on Saturday so that we can see our Team USA play. If not on GSP, then somewhere else. Alrighty, well that's our coverage there really quickly of the XTC. I'm excited to see what happens. Good luck, Team USA. Alrighty, now what I want to talk about is the Bespin Galactic Championship Qualifier. That happened this week. It was super fun. Thank you to everybody who participated. And now we're going to break down those lists. For anybody who's listening to our podcast later, the computer did explode. So we're going to have to take a second to try to make this look good for y'all so it doesn't look ridiculous. How do we do this? What is streaming? How do you do this? Come on. Just trying to get it to fit our frame here. Good enough. All right, so the champion of the Bespin Galactic Championship Qualifier was Virgil Hayward, and Virgil brought a really cool list, a list that I had not expected, and I know it's a list that's likely very special to Marcel. You know, he probably saw it and just had so much joy, all the joy. And let me go ahead and read it. I'm definitely stalling because things aren't loading. And it had Han Solo in the customized White T 1300. We had Fen Rao with Fearless, Unkar Plut, and Constable Zuvio. Han Solo had Trickshot, Zam Wessel, Forlom, Greedo, False Transponder Codes, and Lando's Millennium Falcon. Now let's take a couple seconds to talk about some of the tools that he has in his list. So Han, of course, is able to get 4 dice potentially if Trickshot and the Lando's Millennium Falcon ends up triggering on a stressed ship, which is a great offensive piece there. But one of the coolest things that happened in the games that we did get to stream, and by the way, the games are all scheduled. They'll be coming out one a day for the next week and a half. Unkar Plut and Constable Zuvio in this list did work. They did so much work. They're a tractor threat. Constable Zuvio has Protectorate Gleb on it, so being able to coordinate Fen. And then I have not seen Unkar Plut's ability used to as good effect as I saw during Virgil's matches. He would use it essentially as like an I-7 barrel roll coordinate. Right? Because Unkar Plut says, I believe it's at the start of engagement, you issue... if you're touching another ship, you issue a tractor token to Unkar Plut and to the ship you're touching. So he would end up taking the Constable Zuvio and Unkar Plut, hitting them together, and then barrel rolling them so they would have shots, or barrel rolling them out of shots. Like, it was really, really cool to see. It was great to see this list archetype that we have not seen really do well win one of these Galactic Championship qualifiers. There's 130 players, and it coming out on top. Now let's talk about who he beat in order to take that championship, and that was Lockie Mulcahy out of Australia. What did he have there, Will?
All right, Lucky had brought the Galactic Republic, 3 Jedi Knights, all with the 7B configuration, and Shock T in the Ada, rocking that crit build. That's marksmanship, auto blaster, and R7A7. So it starts off as a bit of a support, being able to hold a token around, even if it's just her own, and then can get onto the flank and start punishing with that bullseye auto crits. And of course, the Jedi Knights are just have replaced. They're starting to replace the arcs as the go-to jousters for the Republic, and they're very good. They trade out some of the beefiness with just the maneuverability. Those fine-tuned controls boost. Very good. And Locky, every time we saw, he was pretty aggressive with them. He would be target locking very often with his Jedi Knights, really leaning into those, the 3 dice gun that he paid for.
All right, now we're going to go to the left of the bracket. Virgil Hayward versus XY. Obviously, Virgil winning that game. XY brought a pretty cool list and a pilot that I did not expect to see. Marcel, what was that?
So XY brought Dengar, the jump master with Predator, Jamming Beam, Greedo, Dead Man Switch, R5P8, which is the one that allows you to reroll, and Punishing 1. No torpedoes. And Tarani Kolda, Cluster Missiles, R5TK, and Dead Man Switch with Munition Failsafe, which is one that we've seen a bit, especially from Nicholas God. And then Asajj Ventress, the one that definitely was an unexpected one here. Heightened Perception, bumping up to Initiative 7. Zam Wells, Dead Man Switch, and Shadowcaster titles. So, yeah, you can get those tractor beams going at Initiative 7 if it all plays out well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was also very... I was very surprised to see Asajj in a list that was doing so well. It's like, oh my God, Asajj, because she was super popular in first edition. But I think one of the issues that that she has is that her offense can get kind of meh. But I mean, we know, and we've talked about it a bunch. Zam, like right now, Scum can just stand on the head of Zam Wessel right now. It's like all these ships, Bosk, Asajj in this case, sometimes Dengar. They're just like, hey, you know how will make us better? Zam. You just go grab Zam. Get a big base ship. If it has a crew slot, you put Zam first and figure out the rest later.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about all the ships that get a bonus attack, not long ago, the bonus attack was that was the ability. Dengar, double tap. People don't shoot because of that. Quick draw, they're like, no, I won't shoot quick draw. Cornhorn to an extent, because Cornhorn doesn't really double tap since he has to disengage, can't shoot the next turn. But yeah, it's just and even veteran turret gunner going up to like 8 points for certain base sizes. It's just such a crazy ability. And now when you add the flexibility of double tapping based off mind games where, oh, you chose not to shoot me, okay, now I'm gonna shoot you again for choosing not to shoot me. So it adds, or you did shoot me. Well, I'm gonna target lock you and give you, instead of a double tap, give you a highly modified attack. It's just the mind games that card enables for the price of Debris Gambit. We were talking about Debris Gambit. Debris Gambit costs the same as this.
It's pretty good. Let's move on. Go ahead.
I do want to point out one other thing, and it's the Dead Man switches. There's 3 different sets of Dead Man switches there, and I think that's some super secret tech to make sure that these fairly unmaneuverable, we'll call them, scum ships, when they do get pounced on by a swarm, at least the swarm's paying for it.
That's right. That's right. There's always a threat there. I would definitely, when we publish the XY game, you need to go watch that, especially his game versus against Tom Lawton. We'll talk about his list in a little bit, but it was really cool. It was a really cool thing to see the combination of how these three ships work together. But first, we're actually going to go to Jason Chong. Ryan, what did Jason Chong bring?
The ever popular, ever familiar Zam Jango from the Separatists, running Jango, Treacherous, Count Dooku, Thermal Detonators, False Transponder, Hull Upgrade, Zam, Treacherous, Palpatine/Sidious, Thermal Detonators, False Transponder Codes, Zam, no Hull Upgrade. Kind of surprising to see the Hull Upgrade on Jango instead of Zam, and also Count Dooku on Jango and not Zam. I'm not an expert on this list. I would just assume Zam probably wants Dooku more. Granted, I guess now Zam is a more valuable target. Everyone tries to burn Zam down first because generally Jango's offense isn't that great. But if you give Jango Count Dooku, his offense is a little more. And then with Zam, you do have the option for the Palpatine side to spend the Force and give someone an opposing ship a stress when she's the main target. How often you want to spend the stress for that control effect? It depends, because with her 2 attacks, you probably need the mod you took as the action plus the Force charge to help make both shots as strong as possible.
So I will say the Jason versus Lockie match came down, guys, it was like a 3-second gap that Lockie even had an opportunity to win. So Lockie obviously ends up winning the game, but let me tell you this. So remember, in our events we have an 85-minute global timer, and then there's a 75-minute regular table timer, right? So they finished the round before, and there was like 3 seconds left. And while they were cleaning, or while the attacks were being finished, you saw Lockie like set a dial during that, saying, if we get to the planning phase, there's a dial ready to go. And by the time they were done with the turn before, there was about 3 seconds left. He had a dial set. There's no end phase effects, and he locks in the other turn, which allowed him to get the win. Really big heads up play there. But man, it was down to the wire. I even had people like message me, be like, but wait, the time in the stream had expired, and da da. And I was like, I know it was that tight, because you got to remember the stream timer is an estimate, especially when James in England, who has to like count 30 seconds before he presses it so that it actually kind of sort of lines up. It gets a little weird. But man, it was down to the wire, back and forth. It did not stop. You need to, if you like entertaining X-Wing, watch Jason and Lockie's game when it comes out, because that was tons of back and forth. It was great. All right, now we're gonna head and follow the Virgil Hayward arc here. Let's take a look at Renato Flores' list. What was that? Well, let's go ahead and pull it up. Renato Flores brought to the competition Darth Vader with fire control and afterburners, Soontir with Predator, and Grand Inquisitor with extreme maneuvers. This was another extremely tight game. It came down to the last turn of and the quad jumpers. I'm telling you, the quad jumpers are the reason why Virgil won this game. Without them,
man, the quad jumpers, man,
it wouldn't have happened. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
No, they it's essentially got behind the remaining ace, and the remaining ace had to kill Han. We were doing all the calculations behind the scenes, and it was like, well, no matter what he does, he has to start by killing Han, get him off the board. And while he's doing that, the two quad jumpers are just harassing him from behind, tractor beaming him, taking shots, tractor beaming each other to get into range to tractor beam the final ace. Oh man, I won't spoil it for you because it's some good X-wing as well. But those quad jumpers were doing work in the end game, punished for being ignored.
I was sad for Fenrau on that one. Like Fenrau, like that's the best Fenrau piloting to do absolutely nothing and end up dead.
Yeah, there was this really cool thing where
yeah.
he like purposely tractored Fenrau and like barrel rolled him and got like a range one shot into Vader, whiffed, and it was crazy. That would tell you, we had a ton of great games this weekend. There was a lot, especially the cut. No shade to anybody who played during Swiss, but the cut was really it was on another level. Lots of back and forth. Alrighty, now let's go and finish this top 8 section here. Tom Lawton, what did he have, Will?
All right, Tom Lawton had a separatist swarm, no Zam in sight. This is a DGS 407 with just Kraken, no configuration. Sure, I guess so. Then also 2 Techno Union bombers with probe droids and plasma torpedoes. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 Trade Federation vultures. So this reminds me of last year or 2 years ago, or I don't know, one of the last in-person events started the theme of the 4 Trade Federation and 2 bomber archetype.
Mm-hmm.
But this one thins out the Discord missiles and sneaks in an entire gunship with Kraken. I didn't understand how the points work because with that, but
Magic.
Ryan, call out Tom here. Why isn't he flying the configuration?
I don't know. So to clarify, only 3 of those vultures have struts, right?
Sure,
One of them just doesn't. I've flown my hyenas pretty okay without landing struts before. So I feel like you could take DGS 047, make him a backdoid for 1 point, and then take both landing struts off hyenas, and there's your repulsive stabilizers. Now, when I run my 7 ship droids, I rarely have room to fit an HMP, and I rarely find that its additional firepower isn't worth the points. Now, it's the cheapest tactical relay carrier. No, if even Ultra
it's not
Pilot
even.
is.
It
Even
is.
Ultra Pilot is. But I mean, big wide arc for utilizing that consistent 2 dice is nice. But I personally would opt into making sure I have enough points to at least have 2 to 3 of those drones have some type of missile, Discord, Ion, whatever you find that you like. Those are my top 2 right now. But hey, it worked. I mean,
It must have.
it's to some degree it worked. I mean, I think that I would assume the stars of the show were the plasma torpedoes on the hyenas.
Oh yeah.
Like, if we look at most of what we talked about in the matchup, besides a couple besides a Fenrau, and a couple ETAs, Jakku Gunrunners, like most things have shields. They're going to burn through those shields really quick with plasma torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
And if it got better use out of DGS 047, even without the stabilizers, cool. Dion, did you have any stream games of Tom?
I don't think we did. Because I would have noticed an HMP that couldn't side slip. It didn't happen. But
Wait a minute, is this an HMP I'm okay watching?
I'm okay with this one.
I will say, so it's probably a ship that they kept safe in the back line. And with a 180, that's a pretty good backline cover, right? Like, it's not a high amount of dice, but if something's trying to cut in on you from a flank, Like suddenly there's a 180 where you have to watch out for the 3 dice that probably is well modified, because the nice thing I guess with these vultures that don't have munitions is they can become spotters for that DGS 047. Like they just lock stuff, they spread them out to make sure 047 can always threaten a solid, consistent 2 dice shot at something, or 3 at range 1.
All right, well let's keep it rolling, and then that's also to boot the fact that they have the DRK probe droids, so that that HMP is going to always have mods out there, right? There's going to be target locks everywhere, so it's going to be pretty consistent. Next, let's go to the right side of our top 8 bracket, and let's hit Tom Traz. Tom Traz, another one of our Imperial players, brought a list that is, you know, it's good, right? It's similar to what we have here on Team USA. We got a few strikers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Black Squadron strikers with disciplined, and then foregoing an interceptor like Goran and saying, you know what, I want to be even more disciplined. I'm going to take Baron of the Empire. I'm going to take the Baron of the Empire and take disciplined on that as well. It's actually a hyperspace legal list. You can see it right there. And lost to, who was that again? Lost to Lackey. And I think this,
I believe this is the only hyperspace valid list in the top cut.
Mm-hmm. And I think did we catch that one on stream? I feel like we did.
I mean, so the other thing
no, we didn't. We had Virgil and Renato
right after that.
Not only are they foregoing Commandant Goran, but also all the thermal detonators to get in a 5th striker and swap Goran to become the Baron. So no special Goran tricks. I'm just bringing 5 3-dice attacks plus a 2-die attack from the Baron, all disciplined, to get the best fire possible. So he's got a 1-point bid. I wonder
Tracer?
if it's, do you drop the disciplined off the Baron to get Tracer missile?
Oh yeah, you do.
I think it's worth it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because what's better than making sure you all get locks or barrels from someone dying? Getting locks even when someone doesn't die.
And doing 3-die with your 2-die. If at anything, it works as a jam at worst.
It depends on if he flies the Baron up front or not. Because if you're flying him in the back, sure, add the missile. Because it's going to be harder for them to shoot.
You have to fly him in the back. He's at initiative 3. The other ones are initiative 2, I believe, aren't? No, they're all initiative 3.
They're all threes. They're all threes.
Okay, then he can do whatever he wants.
I mean, the striker's obviously a bit faster, but like you say, I think that's everyone's thought though of like, why not the Tracer?
I think it's a valid thing to look at, just because as much as it's nice to have like certain side effects such as discipline to get your locks. Apparently, if we learned anything from Rebel doubling up, tripling down, quadrupling down on focus shenanigans, and we've seen Republic lists with like lat rerolls plus Sync Council plus Wolf Pack. No problem doubling up on getting more tokens in multiple ways possible.
Get your tokens.
All right. Now, speaking of swarms, let's hit Octacon's list, one of our other top 8 competitors. Take it, Marcel.
All right, let's see if I survive this one without getting dropped. Octacon flying an oldie but a goodie for him, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Cartel Spacers, M3As. It is 3 with tractor beam, 3 with tractor beam and 4 with auto blasters. It's pretty straightforward and it's scary, and it's still. I don't want to talk about it. I don't like it.
I mean, it's good, right? It does a great job of corralling people with the tractor beams, because you have to dodge them, because if you don't, it's just you're guaranteeing that anybody who doesn't have a tractor on you is probably going to do damage with the 2 dice primary. You're making the you're moving people into the auto blaster bullseyes for people. It's just a bad day all around. And when you have 3 of them out there, you could even tractor large base ships, bring them closer to the whole swarm. I'd love to hit up Octa and ask him if he was able to tractor any large or medium base ships this weekend, making it into the top 8 with a very Octacon style list. If you remember, in previous events, he was flying something kind of like this, but had 2 of the Zealots recruit Fang Fighters, the Initiative 1s, in the list, but going full M3A in this was he said, I don't need no boost. Why would I boost? Barrel roll and shoot.
He does get a 7th ship versus only 6 in the previous version too.
This is 100% true.
I would like to ask him if he ever helped usher a ship off the board with Tractor Beam. Like, just get you a little bit closer, and now you probably won't make a maneuver on the board now.
Alrighty, so we just finished our top 8. Now we're going to hit the rest of the top 16 that we've not covered so far. So here we go. We'll just bring this into view. We'll start with Eric Small. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, we have Eric running a Galactic Republic list. Another show from Shock T. This time, though, with Battle Meditation, Jamming Beam, and then 4 Shadow Squadron veteran Y-Wings, all with dorsal turret and advanced proton torpedoes. That's definitely not something I would expect to make cut in this. I do think Battle Meditation on these I-4 ETAs is a solid buy, whether it's a Jedi General or Shock T. But I'm not sure I'd ever expect someone to not only bring 4 Y-Wings, make them Shadow Squadron veterans, so actually investing the points to go up the higher initiative, and go for a torpedo that's relegated to only range 1, where they're a ship that doesn't have access to boost, but I guess 3 bank or 3 straight's probably like their best maneuver to get in close.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. Awesome. It were me, I'd make them all ion torpedoes.
Well, so let me talk about his game. So Eric brought a really interesting or a really different list than what we would have expected. Definitely breaking some norms. And it's a list that you don't want to joust, right? So you're going to run away. And what we witnessed was what you thought. They toilet bowl, right? They go around the circle. And Eric's able to scoop up target locks. Now, if we look at the match in which he lost, we go right here. He lost to XY. Now, the biggest thing that we cited during the stream that was a weakness for him is we did not see Battle Meditation used one time. And there was several opportunities to do it that I think would have put him over the edge, where he could have potentially done double barrel rolls with the Y-Wings or gotten them fully modified shots. And it gave XY, who has those big base ships, who, while, Asajj is fast, but Tirani's not all that fast, you could end up catching up to them, and didn't have enough juice in the tank by the end game and had been nibbled away so much. Tirani did work in that game, by the way. Did absolute work in order to take him out. But I think he's got something here. I think he obviously got into the top 16, did well enough for that. And I think we're going to end up seeing something like this before, because you don't want to approach it, right? You have to be taking like range 3 shots, kind of pecking away the entire game if you're going to probably try to do some damage to this list.
I mean, so I quickly went to myself, all right, what points can I strip down a bit that it's only in my opinion that I think could swap out. And if you make them all Red Squadron bombers, change the advanced proton torpedo into ion torpedoes, all those Y-Wings now get thermal detonators.
Yeah, but that I3 is super popular right now. It might have been why while we reached to the full 200 on the Discipline Swarm, possibly having that 1 point bid against other I3s could have been the deciding factor. And I think it would be here for the Y-Wings as well. that would be their advantage against other like I2 Y-wing swarms, or be in the fight, literally in the fight, still shooting against the I3 Imperial squads, and even like the 5 red veterans we've seen do well. So I3 is in a really odd spot, the oddest spot it's ever been in X-Wing, to where we're finally, for once, pushing for those high tier generics.
It's weird. It's
weird.
It's a weird day. That's
It's a
X-Wing.
new day. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, let's hear this next one. Julian Geldoic. Take it, Marcel. Look what we got in the cut. Look at this
What is
thing.
that? Is that Venny?
Yeah, a
MD-100
resistance
Star
bomber.
Fortress? Yeah. With trajectory simulator, perceptive co-pilot, veteran turret gunner, seismic, and thermal detonators. With Ray, Corsella, Finn, shield upgrade, Ray's Millennium Falcon title, and Rose with C-3PO. It's basically 2 heavy hitters and a coordinator. Nice. 2 heavy hitters, 2 ships that add a die, right? Vinny adds a die on defense.
That's a focus result.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really good. It's got. Does it have the? Oh, Vinny does not have the one that rotates the arc after shooting, huh?
Nope.
So he's just
But you
got
have Ray out there, so that's a turret.
No, I meant Vinny for the veteran turret gunner. Shoot, rotate, and shoot again.
You don't got the points for it with the coordinator out there.
Yeah. But anyway, super good, super nice. I don't know what else to say.
Now, if somebody wants to know what he lost to, you can see the matchup right here on our chart. He lost to Renato Flores, who was flying that Imperial Ace squad. You can imagine, especially with Vinny not actually having, you got those thermal detonators and seismic charges, but you have some maneuverable ships there that are able to plink away and avoid the bombs if you're dropping them behind them. So not surprised there. I'm curious to know, we actually can look at what the score of that game is. We could check it out later. But I'm curious to know if it was a close match or if it was one-sided. Somebody asking, was Julian ever on stream? It did not happen. It didn't line up. There was a couple of just times where we had a very similar list to what he was playing already on stream, or had streamed already, so it just didn't make it. Now, Will, are you ready for your nightmares?
All right, bring him on. I'm ready.
All right. Nicholas God brought the Galaxy's 2020 Boogeyman, or at least the current updated version. Go for it.
All right, Nicholas God brought out 5 Nantex. Those are Petronaki Arena Aces. This was the I4s? Yeah, right? No. Everyone's scrambled.
Yes, the Petronakis
yeah.
for the I4s, Stalzengard, Hiveguard, the I3s.
The Hiveguard, the I2, that's right. All right, so yeah, the Petronaki, the only reason we all know how to pronounce Petronaki is because
we had to for so long.
For so long, we had to say this word. And all 5 of them had Predator and Treacherous. So it gets a rerolls and Bullseye, and then Treacherous. Nicholas did a great job of, which was hiding. So you run into a ship, but that essentially gives you a defensive modifier when another ship has to shoot through it. So being very aware of those Treacherouses, trying to find those obstructed by ship shots, and not as crazy as it used to be with the old Predator crack shot on a bunch of them, but has to play a more defensive game now because it doesn't have that raw jousting potential.
I do like the treacherous call here, but guys, don't play this as a trash list. Only got here because Nicholas God played it. That is all.
Yeah. That's all. Moving on.
All righty. We got Rogelio Hernandez. Take it, Marcel.
So we got Tesla. Tesla is flying Resistance. Look at this. This looks a little familiar. Not exactly, but a little familiar. We got 4 A-Wings. Sefton with Heroic, Proton Rockets, and Advanced Optics. ZZ with Heroic, Proton Rockets, Advanced Optics. Tally with Heroic, Proton Rockets, Advanced Optics. But instead of Merle, he brought Greer with Heroic and Advanced Optics, so he's at 4, 5, 5, 5, and 894 6-point bid. A-Wings are good, and A-Wings that hit hard are even better. It's, I mean, there's nothing else to say. Consistency through and through.
That's right. Now we got Lou the Lunatic bringing a Separatist squad. Take it, Ryan.
Oh, doesn't this look familiar? We have DGS 047 HMP with repulsive stabilizers, 2 Bactoid drone HMPs with ion missile and stabilizers, a Bactoid HMP with K2B4 and stabilizers, and a Bactoid HMP with Dark One probe droids and repulsor stabilizers. My HMP boys! Same exact list I brought to the showdown. Lou had actually brought 5 Hemps into a Kyber Cup event months back. I was looking at this type of list when they were hyperspace legal. Then the hyperspace legality changed and the Bactoids weren't allowed because they were the generic versions. They only allowed the uniques. Then Lou played it and was like, oh, you played something very similar. And he's like, and then reignited my interest in it, which brought it into the GSP showdown. You're welcome, Dion. And then, I mean, I know you didn't have to play. I just know you hated seeing it.
Oh yeah, just sitting. Those HMPs are still sitting on my mantle in the game room. Like just walking by them, just like leering at them as I walk by.
I talked to Lou a bit after I saw he placed. I talked to him earlier today, and just questions about who we fought throughout the day, stuff that felt good, stuff that was close. The only games he lost were against either top cut players or in the top cut. So I think in Swiss he lost to Lachi, actually, who was one of the finalists.
Yep.
So just that sheer, slippery, quick, probably
slippery.
Side slipping, accurate, time on target brawlers. Those 5 Hemps.
Fantastic. All right, next. Other top 16 competitors. We had Catherine Sturgis bringing a very similar list to what we saw earlier. We have Shakti with Marksmanship Auto Blaster R7A7, so going for some of that auto damage Ada 2s. And 4 Red Squadron bombers. Those are the BTLB Y-Wings. All of them have the ion cannon turret and thermal detonators. So different flavor, same idea, right? These Y-Wings, they have a lot of health. You have Shakti in a support ship, but a support ship that has some teeth. And you can see where the priorities change in this list, being able to spend a little bit more points on Shakti. And this Shakti can likely do something nasty in the end game as opposed to a battle meditation Shakti, which is really more for the mid and early game. So really cool list, and congratulations to Catherine making it into the top 16. I know that she almost made it in Moncala, and it was bugging her just a little bit, and now made it in. Now she made the top 16. Next goal, top 8. Just keep going, Catherine. Keep going. Keep fighting. All right, next we got a couple lists left. We have Sebastian Demers. Take it, Will.
All right, Sebastian Demers here. So I can scum on Villainy. Another Shadowcaster, that's Katsu Onyo, with Fearless, Zamcrew, and Shadowcaster title. We have Genesis Red with Cutthroat and Advanced Proton Torpedoes. Constable Zubio with Proxy Mines. And then Sunny Bounder and a generic M3A with no upgrades on them. Not even jamming beams, Sebastian. Come on. Get your jamming beams. I say that, but I didn't bring one. What a hypocrite. Anyways, this is Genesis Red. Has been more and more popular ever since of these Heratani lists started popping up. Lists that will have ships stacking focus, focus, evade, or evade, evade, focus, things like that, right? And Genesis Red just licking his lips, ready to target lock one of those ships with multiple advanced proton torpedoes, utilizing that Cutthroat. Nobody else has Cutthroat in the list, but it still triggers on named pilots. So Sunny, Zuvio, even Ketsu can get Genesis Red back. Another advanced proton torpedo, or any of the other effects that Cutthroat does, removing red tokens of the like. I'm surprised to see no coordinator here. There's 2 extra points left over on that Zuvio, but just went for the proxy mines instead. And this is a very interesting salad. We've seen, as a note, 2 Zuvios in the cut, 0 Hera Sundolas. What is going on in the old Bespin this time of year? I don't understand. But this seems like all of these ships are very efficient for what they do, and apparently in this meta, if flown well, can get you into the cup.
Now, I will say there was a Hera sitting at 17. So if we had a top 32, she would have made it in. But we didn't quite have enough people. We only had 130. We didn't get to the 148 we need for a top 32. So she was there. Now, I think there was only 2 in the top 32, if I'm not mistaken. All righty. Now, our last top 16 list, our very own William Hagewood. What did he bring, Marcel?
Am I on yet? Yeah, I think I am. So William brought Galactic Empire list. He's got... Is that what you brought, William? Nice. Okay, so he brought Colonel Jendon, naked Colonel Jendon, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 Tempest Squadron TIE Advance X1s. 3 of them with fire control system. The other one ran out of points. Couldn't get one. Couldn't get the fire control system. Yeah, just... I think we saw this a couple times, didn't we? Like, or at least like these.
This was the runner-ups list for Moncala.
Yeah,
I'm a dirty net lister. That's why.
Hey, as long as it gets you what you want, you can not list all you want.
No, I got
the results. Yeah.
No, I got a story behind it, but I want to hear what do you guys? What's your analysis? Why is this list in the cup?
Well, it's because it's a bunch of X-Wings that are better than X-Wings with 3 agility.
I'm sure you had a bunch of fun with crits as well. Like crits are good.
Yeah.
Advanced targeting computer probably just was like, and you're dead, and you're blind, and you're stunned. I win.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, they've got 5 health, just 1 health less than an X-Wing. But they're, as long as they got their target lock, they're rolling the same amount of red dice, and Jendon is kind of ensuring that they do. But then they have an extra agility, and then you run into like the, what do they call it? Like the three agility tourney or whatever these young kids are calling it these days. Yeah, it's just evil, and then people forget that Colonel Jendon's around, and then he shows up late to the party with a 3-dice gun, and takes a long time to kill it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a cool list. Cool list for sure. And for anybody who hasn't flown it, target priority is likely really, really important, especially with sending up that Jendon. If you can have basically target lock focus on your priority target right away, that's good. But I'm sure Will also did a couple shenanigans where he may have target locked one ship to scare it off, and you kill a different one, and then you go get it later. So you got options there for sure. Pretty cool. Well, that was our top 16 of the Bespin Galactic Championship
Not
qualifier.
A single rebel made the cut, right?
Not a
So what happened to all the Ahsokas, Heras?
And no first order either.
Wow.
They didn't show up. They didn't do their job. What's wrong, Rebel players? You got Hera, you got Ahsoka, you got all this new stuff. Step it up.
Now, if you guys want a quick look, we'll give you guys a quick take here of looking at the rankings. If we scroll down quickly here at 17, you will see Rebel at 17. There was a Rebel list at 20. We continue down. Let's just not go past 32.
How far down do you have to go for First Order?
First Order's 28, and that's it. So one First Order list, and 2 Rebel lists in the top 32. But the best performing faction by far, Scum and Villainy, tore it up this tournament. Tore it up. Watch out for the bounty hunters.
That's what you get when you throw Gleb and Zam at. I mean, you can have both of them on your list for 6 points.
Gleb crew, Zam crew, and then Sikhs.
Yeah.
Some combination or separate list of those two. I think that literally covers everything we saw, right? Scum.
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
honestly, think about it. You can get Gleb and Zam for less than the cost of 1 charge on a torpedo. Less. 1 charge on a torpedo will be 6.5 points.
This is true.
6.5 points. You get both of those for less.
They call
It
that
feels bad
value,
on
boys
a
and girls.
thematic aspect in my mind too. Like Gleb from the Battlefront game, canonically was an Imperial contracted trainer and became a First Order trainer. I don't remember anywhere in the story where she was Scum. And we can see Scum clearly has the best use for Gleb because every other ship that can carry crew in Empire and First Order already have coordinate. So they're only adding the option to pass the stress instead of taking a stressful coordinate if something's going to do a blue. Whereas Scum has a demonstrative amount of crew carrying ships to take advantage of Gleb.
Here's a question. Let's go on a tangent here. Yes, Gleb is good. If they were trying to balance Gleb, do you make Gleb a different price in each faction? Because First Order has a lot less utility for Gleb right now, for instance, compared to Scum. There's so many Scum ships with crew, it's ridiculous. You could put her in so many different places. Empire, not so. I mean, you have the same as First Order problem, is that your ships with crew can already coordinate, or at least most of them can.
No,
I mean,
I don't think that's
I'd really like to just take the Sharpie and scribble the Scum out, and then she could stay at 2 points. I don't care.
Okay, then maybe that's a solution. Do you think they would go that far as say errata, First Order,
Probably not,
Empire
unfortunately.
only?
No, because they came in that new Scum pack. They're not gonna take it out. They want that. They want to sell that Scum pack. Come on. But they could. It could be our first points dependent on faction card. That could be more expensive in Scum than say Imperials or Rebels. Or excuse me, Rebels. First Order.
I don't agree with any of that. And you've already got a great example of what it should cost. So, Squad Leader gives you a coordinate and a less good ability because you don't get to toss the stress you get from that coordinate for Squad Leader. So it's not as good as Gleb. So if you still want Gleb to be worth it, Squad Leader right now costs, based on your initiative, 4. I'm taking 0 out. So it costs 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So when you're adding it on the list with Zubio, at Zubio, it would be 8 points. No,
Yeah.
10 points. 10 points for Zubio.
14 for that Han.
And then
That
putting
Han.
it on Han, it's 14 points. So that just shows you how much they think of the value of a high initiative coordination on a ship that isn't originally intended to coordinate. But yeah, Gleb is 2 points across the board. I mean, I don't know what either it's the playtesters or it's the wanting to sell product. I can't imagine this. I can't imagine this going through and everybody saying like, "Yep, 2 points makes sense."
Yeah, someone had to have raised a flag at some point and been like, hey, Squad leader is like scaled by initiative. Makes sense, right? Gleb probably should be the same. Granted, it would still never see play in First Order or Empire, probably even more, because they don't have many I-1 coordinators that I mean, maybe like 2 ships. It'd be really niche case, but it would definitely help the scum problem a little bit.
Do you think it should be based on, what if it was based on if you have coordinate already, you would only pay 2 points, but if you didn't have coordinate, it would be more expensive?
It'd be
whatever.
the initiative scale.
I mean, whatever you would want.
Because essentially it would be then a better tactical officer, right? Or a different, not a better, but a different,
yeah.
Because it would, instead of guaranteeing no stress, it would be a worse tactical officer. Sorry, I went on the wrong side of that. A worse tactical officer. Tactical officer is expensive. If I not remember,
it's 6 points right now.
6.
Yeah, I mean that it, again goes back to, it shows you how much they value. Something just turned off. It shows you how much they value coordinate, how good it is. I went back to Han Solo, 13 points, no 11 points. Han Solo 11 points, initiative 6, potential of rolling 3/4 attack dice. Same cost as Fen Rao on a Sheathapede with coordinate. I mean, it's just doesn't feel accurate. AP5, just because AP5 can coordinate, AP5 brings 0 other value other than it could coordinate. Yet it's
Coordinating
32
express
points.
ship is valuable though too. But yes.
So can Ahsoka. So can Ahsoka for, so there's other ships that can do that.
Yep.
But yeah, 32 points. It's nuts.
Yep, and a Jakku and any of the Quadrajet space tugs can take Gleb and be 31 points, be a point cheaper than AP5, and have all those tractor beaming shenanigans available. So, yeah, it's one of those things you look at and you're like, kind of a bummer. They're waiting till the fall to address new points.
Well, you know what?
But I guess they're giving it as much time as possible, yada yada, which is probably better in the long run that they get the next points more correct. But man, might feel bad for a little bit in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think as of right now, one of the things that at least happened in this qualifier is that the meta felt, even though there was a lot of Gleb, and Gleb is probably one of the most common cards we see out there, it still felt pretty diverse. Like there was a lot of different lists that we did not see in the top cut in Mancala, which was only 4 weeks ago. Like it really looks completely different than it did. Now the question is, our next one, we have the Lamu Hyperspace qualifier. That one's happening. That is what's the date on that? Before I forget.
June 26th.
There you go. June 26th.
I know because I'm considering it.
There you go. I mean, yeah, you're our hyperspace guy. So
one thing we did in this event too, there was a lot more Republic than we're used to seeing, right? Like a lot of people jumped on the Shock T train. That's like there were 3 Shock Ts in the cut, all doing a mix of supporting and then jumping in with those auto blasters sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it. I think the hyperspace, we're going to have to go back and compare it to, we're obviously going to compare it to what happened in Bespin and Mancala, but also we got to take a peek back at the Flight Club Championship Series because that was our last big hyperspace blowout where it was exclusively hyperspace. So we'll see how things have changed, how the new boxes maybe will end up infiltrating the hyperspace meta, and then after that, after we finish going from Lamu, we jump into our hyperspace machine of choice, and we end up heading to Dagobah July 17th. We'll be back in extended, the Dublin, Ireland time zone. So check out GoSquadronPodcast.com if you want to see the full schedule for the Galactic Championships. Looking forward to seeing as many of you playing in those as possible. Come be a part of our events, guys. We have awesome prizes, and it is keeping the competitive community going for all players in the X-Wing community. So come on out, GSP.com. Now, before we go, you guys have any shout outs, anything you guys want to talk about before we hit the hyperspace button for ourselves? Anything on your soul, anything you gotta release to the universe?
No, just big thanks. Well, I'm not saying no and then yeah. Just big thanks for the team to just putting in the work and putting in the magic into the dice to pull us out in the last one, and for probably taking years out of my life with all the stress that I was watching each one like oh god. But also a big shout out, I think, to Bartos, Filippo for just putting it together, because they're the ones that really did all the work to get this going and get this hype around and this excitement around internationally, so that's nice to see. So big ups to Bartos, to Filippo, and then everybody else who's contributed to either stream it, participate in it, or watch it, one or the other.
Awesome. Now, as for when it's our next XTC broadcast, as for games, so the way it works, essentially, it's a dibs-based system. There's a list of games, and they go up randomly, and whoever sees the spreadsheet first calls dibs. So the answer is, I don't know. You'll know when I'll know. So, but we will be live Wednesday and Saturday as you guys expected. We'll either get some practice games, some scrimmage games. Maybe we'll experiment with some of the upcoming hyperspace or extended stuff that we've seen. There'll be plenty of stuff out there for us to watch. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Be smart, be safe. Gold Squadron out.